Hey everyone, Kevin P. McAuliffe here for lowpost.com, and I'm back again with the next lesson in our Assimilate Scratch Dailies tutorial series. And in this lesson, it's all about reporting. Reporting is exceptionally important, especially at the end of each day, so you can send the production company the relevant notes, metadata, and information that they need so they know exactly what's going on with their footage at every step of the process. And reporting is the key to that. And in this lesson, we're going to enhance a little bit what we talked about in our exporting lesson, where we get in and talk about the report generator, how you're going to use it, and why it's a fantastic tool inside of Assimilate Scratch. All right, and as you can see, we are in the construct module of Scratch. What we're going to do is just head on over here to the render module just to get ourselves refamiliarized with what we had talked about previously in the last lesson when generating reports. You'll remember we talked about how when we have our sequence all set to output, whether we're outputting it as an entire sequence or as individual clips, we do have access to the report generator right below the clip or right below the sequence. But as with many things inside of Scratch, there's actually multiple ways to get to the report generator based on how you prefer to work. For me, I am actually creating reports as I go, as I'm creating dailies inside of Scratch. So for me to be coming to the render module all the time is a little bit of a pain. What I prefer to do is actually to access it through the construct module, which is right here. Now, inside the construct module, it's not readily apparent where our generator, our report generator is, because I actually have the wrong tool set selected. I don't want the media tool set selected. I want the tools selected. You'll notice the very first option right here, project metadata. Now I'm simply going to click on report, and we're brought back to the report generator exactly the same as it was inside of the render module. Now to create our first basic report, we're just going to create a project browser report. Now I'm going to select it. You'll notice everything in here stays grayed out except the poster frame. Now, why is the poster frame available to us to get in and alter? Well, many people think when they see poster frame and percentage, what that actually means is the size of the poster frame. Now, I'm going to be honest, if I come out here and I cancel and I take a look at these poster frames, they are really rather unimpressive. I see a slate here that's kind of hard to see. I kind of see one back there. There's one there, and then again, there's one in the distance. It doesn't really tell me anything about what's going on in these shots. So if we head back to the report generator and you actually take a look at what's happening with the poster frame, what this poster frame percentage actually represents is where in the shot the poster frame is going to be taken. So for example, if I come in and I punch in a value of 50%, it's going to take the poster frame right at the midway point of each one of the shots. So what I'm going to do with the project browser report is I'm simply going to say OK, and we're going to send it right to the desktop here, and I'm going to say save. Now once we save it out, Firefox, in my case, is going to open automatically and show me that 50% or the midway poster frame for each one of these shots, which actually tells me a little bit more about what's going on with them instead of just seeing the slates. Now, what's very cool about the project browser report is the fact that what it's going to do is it's going to create a different page for me for each one of the timelines that I have, which is super duper handy. A very easy way for an assistant to get in and quickly track a shot down based on what they see inside the project browser report. Let's now get in, let's talk about a few other reports. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quit out of Firefox. We'll head back into Scratch, and I'm going to select one of these clips. Let's just select the first one. Why not? And with that first shot selected, I'm going to come back to the report generator, and I'm going to do a clip basics report. Now you'll notice that we have a few options when it comes to the scope. What does scope mean? Well, scope means what exactly do you want Scratch to look at when generating this report? The entire project, the group, the timeline, or in our case, just the clip that I have selected. Now, if I wanted to give this date the actual date that this footage was shot, I could punch it in here. We're just going to go with the current date right now, and we even have the ability to get in and to put a logo in, whether it's the production company, the studio's logo, whoever's logo it happens to be. As you can see, I created a very high-tech logo of my own company. I can't call it the Circle K because that's obviously already taken. I will just call this the Blue K Production Company. Now again, we're going to come in, punch our poster frame value to be 50%, and we'll say OK. And now I'm going to generate that report to the desktop. Now, once we generate this, again, you'll notice that Firefox will open up and it will give me the clip report based on this specific clip. However, there's actually a whole bunch of information that's missing here. Now, you'll see that title, company, producers is all missing. I can come in and enter that information myself, or we can enter it inside of Scratch, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. You'll also notice down here in the actual clip itself, the scene's missing, the take's missing, and the comments are missing. So how do we get in and populate all this information? Well, let me show you. Let's head back into Scratch here. And with this clip selected, we're going to call up our clip's metadata. Let's make sure the clip's selected here. And once we have the metadata called up, you'll notice right here we have scene and take. So let's call this scene 1, take 5. All right, now you'll notice that if I scroll down, the comments is not readily available anywhere. So how do we actually get in and populate that comments column? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to head back to media, and with this shot selected, I'm going to add a note to it. I'm going to call it, "This is a great shot." Okay, and we're going to add that note to this shot. Now let's head back to our tools. Let's come to our report. Let's come back to that clip basics, the selected clip, leave everything the way that it is except that poster frame at 50%. Let's say OK, send it to the desktop, say save, and now you'll see this information has been entered. Now, I didn't get in and talk about the production company. Okay, this is all fine and good entering that information manually if you're creating a single report. But to be honest, it's very rare that you're going to be creating single reports. You're going to be creating reports constantly for this project, whether it's on a daily basis every time new footage comes in, or whether it's on a, an hourly basis. Who knows how often you're going to be doing this. So how do we get in and add that information so it's always there? Well, if you take a look up here in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see not only do we have the project right here, but beside it we have the project's properties where we can get in and add things like the title, The Big Western, okay, as well as the director, and that would be me. Why not? I get to be the director for a day. All right, so of course now when we come back to report, clip basics, selected clip, 50%, let's say OK, let's send this to the desktop and say save. You'll now see that that information has been entered for us. Okay, so let's now head back to Scratch and let's talk about another kind of report. What I'm going to do is head back to the report option, and we're going to select the clip metadata. All right, now you'll see again what we're going to do in this case is I'm going to select our timeline, not just a single shot. We'll leave everything else the way that it is. Let's set the poster frame to be something like 25%. Okay, we now have the ability to get in and add metadata to this output. Now I'm just going to leave everything empty for right now, and I'm going to say OK so you can see how this report's going to look when it's done. Okay, you'll see it looks a little bit different. We now get larger poster frames with a lot more information. However, we want to get in and add more information to this, not just the name, the reel, the scene and take. I want to add my own custom metadata information in here so that every time I need to show the director or producer something specific, it's always going to be there. So how do we go about doing this? Well, let's head back into Scratch, and what we're going to do is with this shot here, I'm going to navigate to our media browser. Now we have the shot selected right up here at the top, and I want to head over to the metadata option. So let's get in, let's add some metadata. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let's go with the sources file name. Actually, let's not even do the sources file name. Let's go with the timeline name and the sources path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new column called timeline name and source path. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're simply going to add that as a new column. Let's just come up here. You'll see that we have them all here that we can select one at a time, but what we're going to do is set them all as one group. So what we're going to do is inside of our effects dropdown, I'm going to come in, and you'll remember this is going to be the timeline name, and then what we'll do is I'm just going to put a hyphen in there. We're going to come back to the FX dropdown, and let's punch in our source path. Now, one thing that I quickly want to mention here is that we're showing you the standard metadata that's available to you inside of Scratch. However, this concept works the same whether you're adding the standard metadata available to you or whether you want to get in and add your own custom metadata like time of day or anything like that. So keep that in mind. Now, once I enter that information, we're going to want to set that. Now, once we've done that, what we're now ready to do is to come in and to enter that information for each one of these shots. So let's select them like such. What I'm going to do is make sure the timeline category is selected, and I'm going to say set. Now, once I do that, I'm now going to come down and I'm going to say OK. Now let's head back into our report. I'm going to come to the clip metadata, and we're now going to come in and let's just scroll all the way down here, And we'll remember that that was called the timeline name and source path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that, and I'm going to remove the other ones here like such. Now all I have to do is to simply come in. Remember, timeline is selected. I'm going to say OK. We're going to send this report to the desktop like such. I'm going to say save, and you'll now see there's that extra clip metadata right there telling me the timeline's name as well as the source path for that clip. So this is now how we can get in and start to be really, really specific about the information that we want shown in these reports. All right, now, one last thing that I do want to mention, I'm just going to hide Firefox, I'm going to hide Scratch, is that you'll see that on the desktop, these reports are created as HTML files. You can take them, you can print them, you can save them as PDFs, do whatever you need to do. And as a little tease for Scratch version 9.2, you will be able to export your reports as PDF files directly from Scratch to then email to the client, to the production team, to whoever it needs to go to. So this way it saves you just one additional step or a couple additional steps from having to do that process manually. All right, now as always, if you have any questions, you have any comments or ideas for upcoming lessons or courses, I want you to head on over and post them in our forums at lowpost.com/forums. And if you have any questions for me, you can always send them to kevinpmcauliffe@gmail.com.